Imagine someone comes up to you
Yep.
and they say they have this magic box.
Okay, a magic box. I'm listening.
Yeah, so you put $1 into this box and $36 pop out every single time.
Oh, wow. Yeah, sign me up for that.
Right. But your first thought, logically, is probably, okay, this is a scam. Or maybe you think it's some kind of, illegal scheme.
Because in the real world, physics just doesn't work like that.
Exactly. Business doesn't work like that. But, and this is the crazy part, what if we're looking at the actual blueprints for that exact box today?
That is a massive promise.
It is. Welcome to another deep dive into the application of the theory of constraints. Today, we are bringing you along with us. Yeah, you listening right now, you're the third person in this conversation as we unpack a genuinely fascinating source text.
We're looking at Alex Hormozi's playbook today, specifically his book, $100 Million Leads.
And just to give you some context on why this source is absolutely worth your time, let's look at the actual numbers behind it because they are staggering.
They really are.
Hormozi's portfolio companies generate over $250 million in annual revenue, and they do that by capturing more than 20,000 leads a day.
20,000 a day. That's just, it's hard to even fathom that volume.
It is, and that magic box I mentioned, that is his actual documented lifetime average return on advertising. For every $1 he spends, $36 comes back.
Which explains how he crossed $100 million in net worth by the age of 32.
Right. So he knows a thing or two about getting attention.
He does. And I mean, the premise here is incredibly empowering. It highlights how Hormozi's insights help businesses overcome market demand constraints.
Which is always the biggest hurdle.
Totally. Because his previous work, that was all about building a product. So good people feel stupid saying no. But this deep dive, it tackles the inevitable next hurdle, which is, okay, who do you actually sell it to?
Yeah, you have this great thing, but if nobody knows it exists, it doesn't matter.
Exactly. The core philosophy is that having leads makes it really, really hard to be poor. Advertising acts as this ultimate safety net because it gives you endless second chances in business.
I love that concept. Endless second chances.
Right. Because you could have like a mediocre product, or you make operational mistakes, or you're just terrible at sales. But if you have a massive continuous stream of potential customers coming in, you still survive. You still make money.
Yeah, the sheer volume covers up a lot of mistakes.
It does. And so our mission today is to decode how to identify and then completely shatter the bottlenecks in your lead generation pipeline. We're going to use specific frameworks from the book, like the Core 4, and more. Better new.
So before we even touch those marketing tactics, we really need to talk about that word you just used, bottlenecks.
Yes, crucial concept.
Because the source material leans heavily on applying the theory of constraints to business growth. But for you listening, we should probably define what that actually looks like in practice, right?
Yeah, let's break it down. So to understand the theory of constraints, think of a massive 5-lane highway during rush hour.
Okay, I'm picturing it. Lots of traffic.
Right. And suddenly it merges into a single lane because of, construction.
The worst.
It is. But here's the thing. It does not matter if the cars in those other 4 lanes are literal Ferraris going 100 miles an hour. The overall speed of traffic for that entire highway is completely dictated by that one single open lane.
Because everyone has to funnel through it.
Exactly. That is your constraint. In a business context, your company can literally only grow as fast as its narrowest bottleneck allows.
So if we want to fix the bottleneck in finding customers, we first have to define the highway itself.
Right.
We have to look at the only ways it is physically possible to let strangers know about your stuff. And the source simplifies this beautifully into a 2x2 matrix called the Core 4.
I love how simple this is. It crosses 2 variables, right?
Yep. First variable is audience type. So people who know you versus people who don't.
Warm versus cold.
Exactly. And the second variable is communication style. So one-to-one private communication versus one-to-many public communication.
So breaking that down into practical terms gives you the 4 fundamental marketing actions. Let's start with the first quadrant. One-to-one communication with people who already know you. Warm outreach.
Okay, so it's like pulling out your phone and texting a buddy to see if they want to grab a coffee.
Right.
Perfect analogy, yeah.
It's highly personal. There is this established trust, and it's very direct. So the friction there is incredibly low.
Right. They know you. They're going to reply.
Yeah.
You scale that up. Quadrant 2 is one-to-many communication, but still with people who know you. So that's posting free content to your existing followers, or maybe sending an email to your list.
I'd compare that to standing up at a wedding and giving a toast to a room full of your friends and family.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, you have their attention. There is this inherent goodwill because they know who you are, but you're broadcasting your message to the whole room at once. You get leverage because you don't have to text every single wedding guest individually.
Exactly. You're saving time.
Yeah.
But then, crossing over to the cold audience quadrants 3 and 4, that is where the mechanics fundamentally change.
Because you lose that built-in trust.
Precisely. So quadrant 3 is one-to-one communication with people who do not know you. Cold outreach.
Like tapping a total stranger on the shoulder on the street and handing them a flyer?
Yes, it's private, it's direct, but it's completely unprompted.
The trust is at 0.
0. So the friction is incredibly high. You're going to get a lot of rejection here.
And then finally, quadrant 4. One-to-many communication with a cold audience. Paid ads. Which is essentially renting a megaphone in a crowded stadium where someone else actually owns the stadium.
Right, like Facebook or Google.
Yeah. You don't know who's in the stands. They definitely don't know you. But you pay the platform for the privilege to shout your message to thousands of them at the exact same time.
So just to recap, we have warm outreach, free content, cold outreach, and paid ads.
The core 4.
The core 4. And the ultimate takeaway from establishing this matrix is that these 4 methods, they are your only tools to generate demand.
There's no secret 5th thing.
No secret 5th option hiding out there. If a business isn't getting enough leads to grow, it is simply an engineering problem. You are either not executing these 4 actions with enough skill, or, and this is usually it, you aren't executing them with enough volume.
Okay, but if the core 4 is a closed system, right, and it's just a matter of execution, why do so many businesses hit a wall?
That is the million-dollar question.
Because we see it all the time. Entrepreneurs run their ads, they post their content, they reach a certain revenue tier,
Yep.
and then they just plateau.
Yep, they just stop growing.
And they throw their hands up and declare that they've captured every single customer in their specific niche. They say, I'm tapped out.
Well, they fall victim to what the text calls the size of the pie fallacy.
The size of the pie fallacy.
Yeah, it's this massive psychological bottleneck where businesses falsely assume they have completely saturated their niche.
How does that happen, though?
Well, think about it. An entrepreneur might be marketing on a single platform using just one of the core 4 methods, and they see 3 competitors doing the exact same thing.
Right.
They construct this mental illusion that they're fighting over a tiny, finite amount of customers. They assume they're splitting the entire available market.
Okay, there is an anecdote in the text that perfectly illustrates how bizarre this mindset actually is.
Well, the weight loss guy.
Yes. So Hormozi is consulting with this entrepreneur, making about $3 million a year in the weight loss space.
Which is a very successful business by most standards, you know?
Totally. $3 million is huge. But this guy was absolutely terrified to increase his advertising spend past $40,000 a month.
Terrified.
Yeah. And his stated reason, he genuinely believed this, was that if he spent any more, he would saturate his ad platform and just run out of people to show his ads to.
Which, when you look at the raw data, the absurdity of that fear is just glaring.
It's crazy.
The platform he was advertising on boasts over 1 billion daily active users.
A billion.
A billion. Furthermore, he is selling weight loss in America, which is a $60 billion industry.
So the pie is massive.
The pie is so astronomically large that he isn't even eating a crumb. He's literally just licking the plate.
Licking the plate. I love that. But it's true, yet his fear felt completely real to him.
Oh, absolutely.
But why do we do that? Why do incredibly smart founders convince themselves the market is tapped out when the math clearly proves otherwise? It feels like a way to just avoid taking a bigger risk.
Well, it's a very specific defense mechanism.
Yeah.
Reaching a plateau forces a confrontation with your own limitations.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Claiming, my market is completely tapped out. That protects the ego. It shifts the blame to an external, uncontrollable factor, the market size.
It's not my fault. There's just no one left to buy.
Exactly. It is much, much easier to blame an abstract concept like market saturation than it is to look in the mirror, review your actual metrics, and admit, I am actually not as good at advertising as I thought I was. My skills are the constraint.
Oof. That is a really tough pill to swallow.
It is.
But until you accept that the market size is almost never the constraint, you won't go looking for the actual bottleneck in your own pipeline.
Right. You just stay stuck.
So let's assume we swallow our pride. We accept that there are millions of potential customers out there that we just haven't reached yet. How do we find that one single lane on the highway that is slowing everything down? And more importantly, how do we widen it?
Well, the source material provides a really clear sequence to put those core 4 activities on steroids. It's a 3-step formula to identify and free the bottlenecks.
Okay, let's hear it.
More, better.
New. More. Better. New. Okay, step 1, more. The concept here is increasing your volume blindly until the system literally breaks under the pressure.
Yes. Push it till it breaks.
The text outlines this thing called the rule of 100. 100 minutes a day creating content, 100 cold reach outs a day, or 100 minutes a day managing paid ads for 100 days straight.
It's a lot of volume.
But I have a major issue with this.
Okay, play devil's advocate.
If my ad is mediocre, right, and I just pour more money and time into showing it to more people, aren't I just setting my passion on fire? Why would I scale something that isn't working perfectly yet?
That is the logical assumption.
Right.
But it is entirely backward.
Oh, really?
Yeah. To explain why more absolutely must precede better, the source uses this brilliant piece of data from Facebook.
Okay.
Facebook actually reviewed the accounts of all the advertisers on their platform to see what separated the elite top-tier ones from the average ones.
And what did they find?
They found that the top 0.1% of advertisers test 11 times more creatives than everyone else.
Wait, 11 times more?
11 times.
That isn't a small margin. That is a completely different operating system.
It is. The reality is you are absolutely right that you cannot scale a mediocre ad profitably. But, and this is the kicker, you also cannot simply sit in a room, brainstorm with a whiteboard, and guess what a better ad is going to be.
Because we don't actually know what people want.
Right. The market decides what is better. Testing a massive volume of different ideas, images, angles, headlines, that is the physical mechanism that allows you to discover the exceptional ad.
Oh, I see. So volume gathers the data.
Exactly. Success leaves clues, so you do what the top 0.1% do. You test 11 times more variations.
So volume isn't about shouting the same bad message louder. Volume is about casting a massive net to gather enough data to see what the market actually responds to.
Yes.
And when you pump that much volume through your business, the system eventually breaks. You literally can't handle the influx, or a certain step in your process fails.
And wherever it breaks, that is your true bottleneck.
Which brings us to step 2, better.
Right. So once the system breaks, the constraint is simply the step in your process that has the biggest drop-off in conversion.
Okay.
In the theory of constraints, fixing this specific step is where you get all of your leverage. Small improvements at the actual bottleneck create disproportionately massive boosts in your overall results.
Now, the math on this in the text was a huge light bulb moment for me, but I think we need to slow it down to really grasp the impact here.
Yeah, let's walk through an example.
Let's visualize a 3-step process for getting leads, okay?
Yeah.
Imagine 100 people click on your ad and land on your website.
Okay, 100 people on the site.
Step 1 is they give you their email, they opt in. Let's say 30 out of those 100 people do that, so a 30% opt-in rate.
Pretty standard.
Step 2 is they actually fill out an application for your service. But out of those 30 people who gave their email, only 5% actually apply. So like 1.5 people, let's just call it one person.
Just one person applies out of the 30. That's a huge drop.
Right. And then step 3 is they schedule a call. And let's say whoever fills out that long application is highly motivated. So 50% of applicants schedule, meaning that one person almost always schedules the call.
Okay, so looking at those numbers, that massive cliff dropping from 30 people with emails down to just one person completing the application is obviously your biggest drop-off.
The 5% conversion step?
Exactly. That step is your single lane highway. That is the constraint.
Now, compare where you could spend your time. If you spend your whole week trying to improve the final step, the scheduling step, maybe you get it from 50% to 55%. You might make it a little smoother, but you're still realistically only getting one person on a call.
Right. Your overall business hasn't grown at all.
But if you apply that exact same effort to the constraint, that terrible 5% application step, and you figure out how to improve that by just 5%, you have literally doubled your lead.
Because now you have 2 people booking instead of 1.
Yes. You get a 100% increase in total business for the exact same amount of effort just by focusing it on the actual bottleneck.
It's incredible leverage. And the framework offers a really vital rule of thumb here, which is front is greater than back.
What does that mean?
It means the biggest constraints in marketing are almost always at the very front of your pipeline. It's the ad itself, the headline on the landing page, the initial call to action.
Why the front?
Because that is where the sheer volume of people is the highest, so the drop-off percentages are naturally the steepest. The strategy is to test one thing per week, per platform, focusing entirely on that front-end constraint until you beat your best version.
So we use more volume to get data. We use that data to make the constraint better. But eventually, tweaking that headline starts taking weeks of effort just to get like a fraction of a percent of improvement, right?
You inevitably hit a point of diminishing returns, yes.
Right.
And only when the effort to make things better stops yielding meaningful results, then and only then you progress to step 3.
Moving to new places in new ways.
Yes. But again, there is a strict order of operations here to minimize risk. You do not just abandon everything and jump to a whole new
So to go from Facebook ads to suddenly doing a billboard in Times Square.
Exactly. You start with new placements on the platform you already know. So if you were successful posting photos on Instagram, you start posting Instagram Reels. You already know the culture of the app. You are just utilizing a new feature.
That's the lowest friction jump. You already understand the audience. You're just changing the format slightly.
Exactly. Then you expand to new platforms. If those Instagram Reels converting, you take those exact same short videos and upload them to YouTube Shorts or TikTok.
Oh, so you are taking a proven winning asset and just placing it in a new environment.
Right. And finally, when you've completely exhausted that, you move to a new core 4 activity altogether.
Okay, so if I've mastered paid ads across multiple platforms, perhaps now I start building a cold outreach team.
Exactly. More, better, new.
It is an incredibly systematic way to unblock a pipeline. But, as I processed this, I couldn't stop thinking about the final physical limit.
Which is?
Me. My time.
Yes.
Time. There are only 24 hours in a day. Even if I execute more, better, new, flawlessly, there is a biological limit to how many emails one human can type or how many videos they can film. How do we break the time constraint?
You're touching on the ultimate leap in business growth here, which requires leverage. And the text simplifies this beautifully. There are only 2 entities in the world who can let strangers know about your stuff: you and other people.
Other people. It sounds so simple, but that really is the transition from operator to owner, isn't it?
It is. When you utilize other people, what Hormozi calls lead getters, you finally sever that link between your personal time and your lead volume.
And who are these lead getters?
They come in 4 categories, really. Your customers who provide referrals, employees who work for your company, agencies you contract, and affiliates who partner with you for a commission.
And if you fail to utilize them,
you end up trapped in what the text calls the hamster wheel of death.
The hamster wheel of death. It's such a visceral, terrifying description of what most small business owners actually experience.
It really is.
Imagine bleeding cash to acquire a customer through paid ads, doing all the work to onboard them, and then they leave your business before you have even recouped the money you spent to get them.
It's a nightmare.
You have the exact same number of customers rushing out the back door as you have entering the front door. You are sprinting on this wheel, executing the core 4 flawlessly, burning capital, just to stay in the exact same place.
Right. And the math of the hamster wheel is dictated entirely by the relationship between customer referrals and customer churn.
Churn being the rate at which people cancel or leave.
Exactly. If your referral rate is lower than your churn rate, you are forced to spend time and money on advertising merely to survive.
You are buying replacements, not growth.
Yes. But if the percentage of referrals generated every month becomes greater than the percentage of customers who leave, the dynamic flips completely.
The magic happens.
The business compounds. It grows exponentially without any additional advertising effort or spend from you. This is the precise mechanism that built behemoths like Dropbox or PayPal.
To see how you actually fix this constraint in the real world, the anecdote about the PR firm from the text is just perfect.
Oh, that's a great case study.
So this PR portfolio company, they did public relations for just like generic small businesses. Their sales team was great. They were bringing in revenue, but their churn was disastrous. Customers kept canceling.
So they were on the hamster wheel.
Exactly. They had been sprinting on it, bleeding cash, stuck at the exact same revenue plateau for years.
So they needed to find the bright spots in their data.
Right. They analyzed their customer base to isolate their lowest churning clients, the ones who stayed the longest and were just the easiest to work with.
And what did they find?
They discovered that these ideal clients all belonged to a very specific niche. They were all startup businesses aggressively seeking investor funding.
Okay, so the logical solution is to just sell exclusively to them.
Right. But the founder was paralyzed by fear, and honestly, it makes total sense when you hear the numbers. This investor funding niche only represented 15% of his total client base.
Oh. So he was terrified that if he changed his entire marketing strategy to target only them, he would immediately alienate and lose the other 85% of his revenue.
Wouldn't you be? That's terrifying.
Oh, the fear of niching down is incredibly common because it feels like you are shrinking your available market. But, and this is key, they pushed through the fear and did it anyway.
And what happened?
Well, by changing all of their advertising callouts to speak exclusively to this 15%, their ad costs plummeted.
Because they weren't paying to reach a massive generic audience anymore.
Right, they were hyper-targeting. But here's the most important part of that story. Because they were only servicing investors now, the product itself inherently got better.
They were specializing.
Exactly. The team wasn't distracted trying to do PR for a bakery one day and a tech firm the next.
It creates a feedback loop.
That is the crucial insight. The product became perfectly tailored to this specific group, which meant it delivered massive, undeniable value.
And when customers receive massive value, their goodwill skyrockets.
Yes. And customers with immense goodwill transform into active referral engines. The organic referrals quickly outpaced the churn. The business finally stepped off the hamster wheel and started adding millions per month in new revenue.
Wow. Let's bring this all together for you listening, because the path to infinite leads is actually a sequence of constraints you must systematically break.
First, you have to shatter the size of the pie fallacy in your own mind. Stop blaming the market size for your lack of skill.
Second, deploy the core four: warm outreach, free content, cold outreach, and paid ads.
Third, unblock your pipeline by pushing volume until it breaks, finding the true bottleneck and applying the more, better new framework.
And ultimately, you must leverage other people, those lead getters, to escape the hamster wheel of death.
Which honestly leaves us with a truly fascinating philosophical question to ponder. Yeah. We spend an immense amount of time obsessing over advertising tactics, copywriting, media buying.
Right.
But if the ultimate exponential growth of a company relies entirely on customer referrals, and customers only refer your business when they possess immense goodwill, and that goodwill only exists because the product perfectly solved their specific problem.
Oh, I see where you're going. Then despite all the brilliant marketing frameworks in the world, the absolute ultimate constraint to infinite leads is simply the quality of the product you are selling.
Exactly. The best advertising in the world will just help a bad product fail faster.
Yeah.
But a truly great product, targeted at the exact right person, eventually becomes its own marketing engine.
You build a product that good, and you really might just have built that magic box where $1 in equals $36 out.
Totally.
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. Keep breaking those bottlenecks, and we'll see you next time.